Hello, my name is Olivia, and I'm a licensed social worker with KSB's Outpatient Psychiatry and Counseling. Today, I wanted to discuss stress and provide some insight as to how we've been affected physically, emotionally, and mentally, and also share how we can cope with its inevitability. April is Stress Awareness Month, so that is the topic we'll be discussing today. So, what is stress? So stress is how we react when we feel under pressure or threatened. It usually happens when we're in a situation that we don't really feel like we can manage or control. When we experience stress, it can be as an individual, for example, when you have many responsibilities that you feel like you're struggling to manage. Part of a group of people, for example, if your family is going through difficult times, such as bereavement or financial struggles. Part of a community, for example, if you belong to a group that is experiencing discrimination, or a member of society, for example, during natural disasters or events like the coronavirus pandemic that is occurring. So the big three: acute stress is your body's reaction to a new or challenging situation. Episodic acute stress is when acute stress happens on a frequent basis. And then chronic stress is the result of stressors that continue for long periods of time. So with acute stress, it's that feeling you get when you're approaching some type of deadline, or when you thought there was like a set plan only to find out the plan fell through last minute. So it's short-term stress. So naturally your body will return to that normal state soon. Episodic is repeatedly tight deadlines or frequent high stress situations, struggling to returning to that equilibrium state until we're out of that situation. So certain professions experience a lot of this type of stress, moving from one crisis to another. And then chronic stress is more so long-term, or stressors that continue for a long period of time. Examples could be like living in a high crime society or neighborhood, or feeling like you're constantly arguing with your family. So it's stress that kind of feels never ending. So how does stress affect us? Our bodies, so when we become stressed, our amygdala, which is the part of our brain that processes emotions, recognizes that there is a threat. It then sends a signal of distress to our hypothalamus, and our nervous system sends signals as our brains are triggering that fight or flight response. So then those hormones are released, including cortisol and adrenaline. And when these are released, our bodies can react with muscle tension, chest tightness, and a really fast heart rate. So keep in mind, everybody kind of experiences those symptoms differently. If adrenaline and cortisol are overproduced from prolonged or chronic stress, the body's functions can actually begin to slow down. When the threat is no longer perceived as one, the hypothalamus sends another signal alerting the body that the threat is gone. And then that fight or flight response kind of recedes a little bit. Your stress decreases. So how are our minds affected? Memory. So you may notice that when you're really stressed, you tend to forget small tasks or allow things to slip your mind due to that stress. Exhaustion. When stress releases those hormones up, our body and mind react similarly by feeling tired. Stressful events can also affect our focus and our attention. It can be difficult to focus on more than one event or task at a time. Organization, going back to that focus, simple tasks may feel really overwhelming because of the amount of stress taking up attention. And even stability, stress causes us to remain in that fight or flight response if we're not able to decrease that stress over time. So our emotions and mental health. Isolation is something that we experience if we're feeling stressed. Anxiety, depression, our sleep hygiene can be affected. We can get irritable, feel really overwhelmed at times. So being in stressful situations often causes us to withdraw from those around us or zone out to focus on the task at hand. Research has shown that the onset of depression symptoms can be connected to the amount of stress we experience. Anxiety heightens that fight or flight response that we were talking about earlier, and you kind of feel more vigilant when you're stressed. Symptoms of anxiety can be brought to the surface in other areas of your life as well. So you're not just anxiety filled with the task at hand, but also anxiety can increase in other areas and forms of your life. Sleep is vital for mental and physical health. Stress symptoms and hormones continue even when we are trying to sleep. Due to stress, people often experience restlessness, leading to a not so fun night of sleep. And then feeling irritable again is common when stressed. When we're stressed out, it's difficult to manage our emotions, and therefore the common mood when stressed is anger or irritation. Sometimes we can take those out on people around us, family members, coworkers. So what can we do? We can go for a walk. Walking promotes the releasing of those endorphins from the brain that stimulate relaxation. We can do self-care. It can be hobbies or pleasant activities such as getting your nails done, reading, watching your favorite show, watching movies. Meditation, focusing attention onto current things such as your body and your mind, reducing focus on the stressful activity or event. Deep breaths can trigger parasympathetic nervous systems to help stimulate relaxation. And then your heart rate is also more regulated when you take deep breaths. Having a balanced diet provides helpful energy that's needed to cope with stressful events. Early research suggests food can help regulate cortisol levels as well. And then cortisol is that hormone in your body that has many functions, with one of them being how your body regulates stress. Exercise acts similarly like a walk, releasing those endorphins, which are known as those feel-good neurotransmitters. And then talking with someone, so releasing negative thoughts, finding a solution from a different perspective or insight for your own well-being outside of that situation. So the overall goal is to kind of take that a short-term break from the stressful event and then return to it later, whether it be 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days, just kind of taking a break and stepping back into it when you have a chance. So again, April is Stress Awareness Month. So the big question is, what healthy strategies can you use to combat stress in your life? And again, thank you for listening. My name's Olivia. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below.